we go. We're in the final months. We're coming down the home stretch, everybody. Right. To those zooming in, right? We have a few people zooming in, Chris and Nick Thompson. Welcome, guys. And our theme this year again is create hope in the world. What's the theme next year? Raise your hand. Marcia, I know you know. Marcia, what is it? Thank you, Marcia. Absolutely correct. And today, it's the 80th anniversary of D-Day. And I know that in a few minutes, thought for the day, Janet will be sharing some thoughts about D-Day. One thing I want to hold up is home renewal. Homer, one of our former members, past, my news father, was at D-Day. I think he was at D-Day +1, Mike. And Mike, can you give us like 30 seconds about what Homer was up to at D-Day? What was his task?
Well, he was head of one of those landing crafts where he's got 20 guys that are basically in uniform. The door's going to go down, and they're going to run up the beach. And he said what was hell was looking at 20 or 30 guys, whatever he had, and realizing that only 3 were going to make it up the hill if they were lucky. My dad never talked about it. There was one time when I was young in the garage, he opened up the trunk and started going through it. And all of a sudden, he put his naval dress shirt on me, grabbed it off, threw it in the trunk, slammed the trunk. He was really upset. And never talked about D-Day until late in his life. The one conversation I relayed was when Saving Private Ryan came out. We were at the Bruin Theater. And we came out, we were standing by the box office, and I said, God, Dad, that was pretty bloody water and pretty nasty start in the movie. Was that Hollywood? Dad looked at me, turned deep red, looked down at the floor, looked back up with tears coming down his eyes, and he just said, no, it was worse.
Show of hands, whose father served in the armed services during World War II? I had my father and father-in-law. I remember my father-in-law, many of you remember, Ray and I also saw Saving Private Ryan. Very hard. Situation. Okay, anyway, moving on. Our 4-way test of the things we say, and do. And today, one of my board members, this will be his last meeting here with me as the president. So I'm going to ask Terry White to please read 4-way test. Terry.
Our 4-way test is a truth. Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Wonderful, Terry. Terry, me as being on my board this year. I only ask that you not open it because I don't want the other board members who will receive their gift at our board meeting. And they're a wonderful, high value gift I'm giving you.
Extreme generosity.
An extreme generosity. Terry, you want to say a few minutes? Yeah.
Not very many voices. About 10 seconds to say, if you haven't paid, please do. We're trying to collect all the money for the bill that the last by the end of the fiscal year, which is June 30th, and the board has authorized a 10% late charge for any of that May 31st statement dues is not made by the end of June. So please pay early, pay long. Thank you.
I promised $1 million check right away. You might notice I went through the war myself today. Last few days I had a visit to the dermatologist and he beat me up a bit, but also about it. So you might remember there's a bandage here and a bandage here. You don't see the one here. Anyway, moving on. Our reader today, Diane. Thank you very much, Diane. Actually, it'll be by
Everyone stay. A bunch of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
And now our part of the day, Janet Schwartz.
Well, I know more about you than I do. I don't really have a certainty there, but, but you don't know. Anyway, it's the largest land, air, and sea invasion history. And it was one of the turning points. And I like how we're cooperating with your community as a first. Mostly from the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, and other Commonwealth countries. Other countries also participated. Soviets did not participate because they were too busy fighting on the Eastern Front. Operation Baration, Iran and June. There's didn't think that the invasion was planned. They would not know where it's going to be. We were fortifying the beaches. They thought it might be the beaches that should be fought. So they had access to the nuclear chiefs. And as you all know, General Eisenhower was in charge, the troops, and also a message afterwards. It was not certain that it would succeed. There were issues, one, the German military, and also the weather. It was scheduled for June 5th. It was too bad that they scheduled for the 6th. Depending on the full run and the low tide. So, it's a possibility that everybody else kind of developing this problem. Going to be quite expanded for the rest. Also, responsibility. It's not a one who is going to do everything else. Yeah. Two. It's been sort of debated that once you something like aging out, just so that the pulling competition was.
Thank you very much. Right on. Past President Ed Gall will lead us in a rousing afternoon. You can only imagine what Ed said.
Jackson Town. See, you were here.
son, a young naval officer who is just back from Afghanistan. Yes, so let me just bring you up to date very quickly. Later today, at San Diego, for a change of command ceremony for Wade. His name was John Wade, our godson. And he is now fleet commander of the 3rd Fleet, San Diego. And he's a 3-star admiral. He's probably the top naval officer on the West Coast. And hopefully, bring him up. Speak. I thought it was we should things about graduating so many years ago. We had the draft on it, so the graduation day, my graduation day, I got a commission in the Navy, and I had a job for a number of years. Okay, I'm gonna put on the graduation hat. Graduation of the waters. Okay, let's get this in. I love it.
It's always the highlight of our meeting. Thank you, Dr. Christine, for writing today's windmill. And visiting Rotarians, I don't think we have any visiting Rotarians, and I don't think we have a guest other than our speaker, but you'll hear more about our speaker in a few moments. And a recap, gotta do a recap, the live then recap. Last Thursday morning, a group of us was at Ponce Cast Family YMCA. 10 of us participated in the food pack. Great experience. I really highly recommend it to everyone as a great service project. We're in and out in about a few hours. And here's a couple of photos. I've got most importantly, the market. There's Ed, there's Tom, I think, and there's Nevin and Janet. We got Terry's White Pack, Nevin, Ed, Marcia, myself, Diane, Tom, Pia, Rachel from the Salvation Army as well, and Janet and Pia. So it was a wonderful opportunity to give service, help out as a local Y, and I'm hoping we're going to be doing it really on a consistent monthly basis. Fridays, we're real busy. We're real busy. And we're at the UCLA for the ROTC Top Cadet, ROTC Air Force Award ceremony. And we as a club have for years given out a sword, saber, as well as a small scholarship to a top cadet of the Army, Navy, and Air Force. So last week was the Air Force. And the wonderful occasion, the young lady, young cadet is Fiona Yvonne, and there she and I are when I'm presenting the check and the saber to her. So I hope to get a whole group picture. I didn't receive it from the ROTC, so unfortunately I wasn't able to include it, but it had all 70 ROTCs. That's there, as well as other presenters, Dr. Janet and myself. Then on Saturday, Janet and I went out to the LAPD Police Academy for the LAPD K-9 fundraiser. And this is really a great occasion, great opportunity to see the police dogs in action. And, oh, here's something that they did. They put your president in a cage. And this photo over here hunted it down. And I was in there, and he was not happy. He wanted a piece of your president. He was choking it out. No, anyway, another one. This was a trainer. This was a car hijack, and it ended up by coincidence right in front of us. And this guy jumped out. And there was a police helicopter going overhead on Fox, and it was really totally unbelievable, very coincidental that we were there when this happened. But anyway, he jumped out, and this dog chased him down. Boy, hit him like a ton of bricks. And here he is, his handler, and I mean, these dogs were just unbelievable. Very friendly when they want to be, but not so friendly when they were on TV. So here we are. When I presented it, and I presented the check to the K-9 patrol. That's what they refer to them as, the K-9 patrol. So there's Janet and 15 officers. And the scariest thing was when they all were walking towards me once. I'm going, boom. Anyway, so there we are. So before we go on with the announcement, yes.
So I read about a canine that was received by the LA police and returned because from,
Oh,
I don't know if you heard about it.
No.
The kennel had the same name as Hitler's bunker.
Oh, really?
And so they really are.
Oh, I know, he didn't mention that, but he mentioned that dogs are very free. One thing is, they want a dog who barks. And if they have a dog that doesn't bark, they'll actually send it back, because then when the federal agencies like dogs, conversely, they want a dog that, is handable. Sometimes they just don't know until they have a dog. They cost $13,000, and that's where our $2,000 get towards it. Ed.
How does a dog know there's a hijacking taking place?
It's K-9, or it's LAPT, PD.
So in other words, it probably react based on a command.
Yes,
from
yes,
someone.
yes.
So once it is that command, he's off and running.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yes. Janet.
I'd like to mention a couple things. His dogs are from Europe. And it's
Yeah, thank you so much. The new member has done well, me on active in all of our service projects, involved now as something more. Just want to thank you all. It's really, wonderful work there. Really have gone beyond above and beyond. So what I'd like to do, what I've done this year, is present to members at various times during above and beyond calls. So I really want to thank you for Okay, announcements. To invite Ellen Horwitz up. This Saturday is a walk to help and hunger for Wheels on Wheels at the Village Lutheran Church. So Ellen, come on up.
Hi.
Hello.
So it's coming Saturday at 9:30. We're moving, it starts at the Village Lutheran Church, and then there's a map, and it's a little scavenger hunt, and it's just a fundraiser. We're hoping any of you can join us, and if you feel like just having a walk, it's not a long way, it's also very leisurely. It's not a race in any way, shape, or form. It's, in fact, we do a scavenger hunt along the way. If you want, you can do a scavenger hunt. about honoring them and facts and also the information about, it's just right in the Brentwood Glen area, so there's like no traffic. It's a very calm, like I said, it's very calm, and there's a lot of shade. So if you're worried about sun, and if you want, you can just use your phone and you can hit that QR code with your phone and you can sign up that way, or you can just come. I've got lots of extras. See where to put some out, right?
I did not, somebody,
See, thank you so much. And then my copy marker. So
Well, Ellen, on behalf of your club, I'd like to present your Meals on Wheels check, $2,000. Make a special effort to get out and support a worthy organization. Okay. Dave, we're going to talk about next meeting.
Sure. So there are actually 2 cleanups after a month's hiatus, so everybody will come out and join us. So the one this Saturday is in Brentwood. It's being run by Volunteers Cleaning Communities. And we're meeting on Westgate, right next to the YMCA. We're going to start there at the Ponds and Cats YMCA and go around that area. And then the following week on June 15th is the Westwood one that we run. And that's the transitional village, so it's an army, and it's hold it at 8:30 a.m.
And that's the last cleanup. Well,
That's the last.
So come on out.
Yes.
Let's all do one last big cleanup. President. No, it's not the last. That's or when I am president. So
As far as she's concerned, it's less.
anyone have it? All right, thanks a lot. And June 20th, we've done the book sales where we each bring a book and we sell it, and hopefully somebody buys our book. So everybody, one of your favorite books. We're changing it a little bit. You don't have to pay to have your book sold. You only pay to buy a book. So why don't we all bring a couple of books that you think your fellow members would like, and that'll be June 20th, the last meeting that we have. Couple of things. I hear there's a demotion party coming up on June 22nd. Please respond to the invite, which I believe went out. I hope everyone's there. I would love to see you all at my demotion.
Are you going?
I think so that's again, that'll be on June 22nd, Saturday, and at the Angelina Hotel, I believe.
That's where you think, yeah.
Okay, I guess you guys can put me in the bus and take me somewhere else. Mark Rogo has an extra ticket this Friday night to the Amundsen. Lynn won't be able to make it. And so what the plan is, and please let Mark know if you're interested, the plan is dinner at Hillcrest, followed by 6-row seats at the Strange Loop, which is the most recent theatrical performance at the Amundsen. So it sounds like, actually Marcia and I are going in a couple of weeks. I hear it's a really interesting play. It's about play within a play within a play. Those strange multi-perspectives. But anyway, it should be a fascinating opportunity to see a great show. So please let Mark know if you're interested in being his +1. Quick comment from Past President Marcia Hunt about a Zoom this morning. Marcia, you want to share just a moment or so about what happened on Zoom this morning, which I think you had a pretty good turnout from your club.
Yes, we had a pretty good turnout at the club, and over 130 people, showed up for it. And this is for the launch of the new chapter. Chapters are a new thing in Rotary with the Rotary Action Group for Peace. And several Peace Builder clubs, which are clubs of Peace Builder Club, of course, and join together. And it doesn't have to be in a district. Multiple clubs from multiple districts. And in fact, we shared our launch today with one chapter that is Scotland, England, Ireland, and Wales. And so there are 4 different countries in one chapter. So, but it was very, successful, and people appreciated it. And our incoming RI president spoke at it. She's very into the chapter. She's, but it's clubs, we're excited about clubs getting together, not necessarily in their own district, but, all around. Have ideas, they can help each other with grants, or maybe if you hear about something that another club is doing, we think, hey, that's a good idea, we should do that, or vice versa. And so it's clubs working together on peace. And also, the founder of the Rotary Action Group for Peace, so important, Oregon, was there to speak also. And but Stephanie gave a really good talk about how beneficial it is for clubs to work together, and particularly on peace projects. And practically, anything Rotary does helps to promote peace. And whether it's digging a well, and cleaning up, or picking up trash in here in West LA, that helps with peace. All of that's good.
At this point, I'd like to have, well, before I have Domenico come forward, I thought I'd share a few comments about Domenico. Domenico Fabrizi is a UCLA economics PhD student. You guys, you gals, he graduates next week. Oh, congratulations, Domenico. Doctor loves studying how firms, Domenico loves studying how firms make pricing decisions, develop new products, and how these affect consumers. His main interest is in the airline industry. In September, Domenico started working as an assistant professor of quantitative marketing at Catolica-Lisbon School of Business. So at this point, it's my honor to introduce soon-to-be Dr. Domenico Fabrizi. Oh, so you're just gonna move it? Okay, sure.
Disclaimer, I'm Italian. I don't know if you can tell from my accent, but I will try to be as clear as possible, so you don't get distracted by my thick accent. As I would mention, I will start talking about traditions and innovations in the airline industry. So this talk is going to be divided basically in 2 parts. In the first part, I'm going to give a general overview of the airline industry. And in particular, I'm going to focus on how airlines sell tickets for travelers. And I'm also going to focus on innovations in this space. Related to this, I'm going to focus on my studies. And okay, so the second part of the talk is going to be about my geometric paper, that is my PhD dissertation, and I'm very proud of it. Because it took me basically 6 years to do it. So if you have harsh comments, please try to be as nice as possible. And the case study will be about upgrades. So you know that if you fly, economy class, for example, you might get some notifications from the airline asking you whether you want to fly in business class by paying a fee. So the goal of my studies is basically understanding whether travelers as a group are better off or worse off because of this pricing policy. And so the first question is, are upgrades beneficial for travelers? And then the second question is, how and why airlines use upgrades? So as a spoiler, upgrades are beneficial for travelers, and later on I'm going to say why this is not taken for granted. And I'm also going to show how and why airlines use upgrades. In particular, airlines use upgrades. I'm going to show that airlines use upgrades both for increased revenue, but also to better allocate seats, which is a crucial problem that airlines have. So, very well. So, firstly, let me give you a brief overview about the airline industry. So, I spent 6 years studying this, and I think there is enough motivation to do that. So, the airline industry is a massive sector in the world. And for example, just some figures is that accounts for 5% of the world GDP. It allows a lot of people to fly. In 1 year, for example, more than 800 million people fly, and it creates a lot of jobs. There are some figures for worldwide, taking account both direct and indirect jobs, so more than 87 million people working in the industry. However, a very interesting feature in the industry is that it has very low profit margin. So it's very difficult to be profitable in this industry. So this is a piece of data from 2018, and in 2018, that is before pandemic, average profit margins were around 1.2%. So it's very difficult to be in the industry and keep being active and make money out of it. And in order to emphasize this concept, I decided to have 2 quotes here. One is the quote from Richard Branson, who is the founder of Virgin Atlantic Airways, who is saying that if you want to be a millionaire, you start with $1 billion, and then you should launch a new airline, because probably you're going to lose a lot of money. And another very interesting quote, which I kind of prefer, is a quote from Niki Lauda, who some of you might know because he was a Formula One champion multiple times, but he also was a founder of several airlines. And he's saying here that running an airline is the most difficult job in the world. It was just more dangerous for my life. And Niki Lauda was a Formula One world champion. So I think these 2 pieces of evidence are just telling us that the airline industry is very tough. However, it's extremely difficult for all of us to want to spend. So let me talk now about how airlines try to sell these tickets. So airlines try to sell tickets with these mathematical models, economic models, which are part of revenue management. Just to give an idea of what revenue management is, we can think that it is the art and science of selling the right product to the right customer at the right time. This is like a very big sentence, but to do it in practice is very, very complicated. And here I want to give an overview, an historical overview of how airlines were selling tickets in the past and how they are thinking of doing this in the future. So in the past, basically around the 80s, airlines were using a static pricing type of model. Basically, if you wanted to fly, to take a specific flight, the price of the ticket was constant all over the year and was not changing without any, because of any factor. And it was very predictable, which was the price, but this turns out not to be very efficient, especially after some policy regulation change in the US at the end of the 80s. So then we changed the paradigm, and then we moved to dynamic pricing. So this is the paradigm basically we are right now. So if you want to buy a ticket, you can see that the price that you see today is different than the price you see tomorrow. So why that's the case? Well, that's the case because more information started to be available. And so airlines now, when they need to set the price for a ticket, take into account several factors. So how many days before the passengers are left, or the season, high season, low season, or the day of the week. So for example, if you buy a ticket on Fridays, those are going to be more expensive. Usually people show up on Fridays. So this was the dynamic pricing model. Now it was a new framework, which is the continuous pricing. Namely, just a more evolved version of dynamic pricing, simply because they're using more and more data available. Some more piece of data that they are thinking of using is like, for example, weather condition and destination. If it is a sunny day in Ibiza, which is a popular destination, in Europe, probably tickets are going to be higher. are going to be more expensive. And there are also going to be other factors like the competitive level, not only at their own destination points, but also in other points, and also they're going to use other factors like the shopping context at both origin and destination. So I think this slide is particularly interesting because it's also showing us that airlines are using more data, especially because they want to better forecast demand. So the real challenges now are having better tools to forecast. So this seems very nice on paper. However, in practice, airlines are not as cutting edge as we might think. A couple of months ago, I was talking to a guy working in JetBlue, and this guy was an analyst there. So I was talking to him, I was telling him, look, I think you guys have an amazing job for pricing, everything is automatized, and so on, but actually it's not. So he was telling me that parts of his job was just changing the price manually based on some events happening at destination. So one of his tasks was, for example, checking all the conferences that were scheduled at some destinations, and then based on those conferences or events or concerts, change the price of the tickets for those flights flying and arriving around those dates. So it's not so big as people might think. However, they are getting more and more automated. At the same time, as I was mentioning at the beginning, the element is extremely competitive, so it's really money out. So there is an ongoing pressure for airlines to update their systems to improve them, make better pricing decisions. At the same time, a very interesting part, at least for myself, that is arising in the airline industry is the part of startups. So here, there's I'd say to report, so it's very small, so I'm sorry that you guys cannot see it very well, but this is a list of the top 10 most promising startups in the world about airlines. So what I think is cool is that airlines really try to develop new products. So startups really try to develop new products for airlines to boost their profitability and revenue. And they're very creative. So for example, I was talking to one of the startups called Catolica-Lisbon, and they're actually trying to have a subscription kind of price model, which I think is cool. It's like a season ticket for a stadium. And there are other platforms like the Volante company, which is there, number 3, which is actually trying to implement a reselling market for airlines. So you buy an economy ticket, and then you can sell your ticket to other travelers. So, and the real goal of these companies is trying to boost profitability for airlines and trying to integrate their decisions with the airlines. And what I think is very interesting is that among all these products that are arising, there are also upgrade products, which is the specific focus of my dissertation, and which is going to be the next slide. Because in this space, so what I've been trying to say so far is that, well, airline industry is very important, very competitive, very difficult to make profits, until we have some products that airlines already have, which are really helping airlines to make more money. One of these products is upgrades. So, for sure, airlines are using upgrades to increase revenues. This is something that I would say. However, it's not clear exactly which is the final effect on customers, because someone like the US regulation might think that, well, upgrades are just a tool that the airlines have to extract more what we call surplus from customers. So basically, customers might be screwed as a group from upgrades. And so the real goal of my paper is trying to understand whether that's the case. How did I start this project? Well, because I was able to have this project as a consulting project for an airline. So I started talking to them a couple of years ago, and then they allowed me to access their data set. And so what I'm going to show you is actually based on real data and real evidence. So I think this is for myself kind of interesting and give some reflection to my project. So, very well. So, yeah, we can skip this. So, which is the airline that I'm considering? Well, this airline is pretty big. It's a North American airline. In terms of revenue, since 2018 was making like $20 billion as revenues. And it's pretty standard in the sense that they're selling usual products like economy class, premium economy, business class. And they're selling these 3 products, that is these 3 seats, with their animals. Again, the price changes over time. Okay. On top of this, they have this product called upgrade. So if you buy a ticket in lower cabin, for example, economy class, the airline is going to send you, it's not space, it's going to send you an email asking you whether you want to upgrade to business class. And so this is a practice which is very popular now among airlines, both in the US and in Europe. And the way they do this is very simple because they send emails. So here we can see an example of an email. So some of you probably have received an email like this. There is a dear customer with receiving this email from Qatar Airways, and he has an economy class ticket, and the airline is asking him, well, you want to upgrade? You have a flight, and so you need to pay this amount, and if you pay, you're going to be upgraded. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. And so why do we need to do a study about this? So which is the economics of upgrades? So whenever I think about upgrades, I want to think about two effects. On one hand, we have the direct effect, which is also supported by the data that I have. So in this case, travelers access premium cabin with a discount. So if you decide to go to business class with an upgrade, you are going to save money. And so this is good for customers. So customers are happy. So this is a positive effect. On the other hand, whenever I think about upgrades, I want to think about this other effect, the indirect effect. With upgrades, the airline is changing the pricing problem. In other words, the airline knows that anyway there is some demand for business class because there are these potentially upgrading people that want a business class seat. And so by having this extra demand for ticket, the airline is going to charge higher prices for business class. And so people buying business class retail immediately are going to be worse off. So as we can see, there are two effects. That effect is positive, so customers are happier. On the other hand, indirect effects is potentially harming consumers. And if the indirect effects are bigger than the direct ones, then that's bad for us. However, as I'm going to show later, the direct effects are bigger. So here I want to, so whenever I do academic presentations, they always ask me a lot of questions about data, because this is pretty difficult to get and to discuss. Here I'm just going to say that in my data set, I can observe a lot of features about, in particular for more than 600 flights, I can observe all the tickets that have been purchased, and I can see also whether people are upgrading or not. Here, I want to show, based on this data, 3 pieces of evidence about upgrades. So first of all, I want to show the effect, the impact of upgrades on revenue. And in particular, I'm going to show that a large proportion of revenues is actually accounted by upgrades. Then I'm also going to show that upgrades are important in terms of total transactions. So many people in business or premium economy are there because of an upgrade. And finally, I'm going to show you the evidence of the discount. So going to business class with an upgrade is actually cheaper than buying a business class ticket. Okay. So this is a very interesting exhibit that I have. It's the first exhibit of my study. And here I want to show a snapshot of basically the balance sheet of the airline. So here I have the 3 products that the airline is selling. So economy, premium economy, and business class. And then I have the rows, which are transactions and revenues. So the first striking evidence is that the airline is selling the majority of tickets, that is more than 90% of their tickets for economy class. See that more than almost 240,000 tickets are just for economy class, and less than 10% are for the premium products. However, when we look at revenues, almost 1/3 of total revenue is coming from economy and business class. So this is telling us that airlines really use the premium products to have more revenues and to be profitable in the market. So this is the first piece of evidence. Second piece of evidence is related on the distinction between the retail channel and the upgrade channel. So again, the airline can sell premium products with these 2 channels. So now let's try to compare them. Well, if I compare them, I can see that if we consider premium economy and business class together, over 15% of people traveling in the premium product, so having either premium economy or business class, are there because of an upgrade. And because of this transaction, the airline is able to make 6% of revenues from these premium products. So again, these 2 pieces of evidence, that is in terms of the total revenues and in terms of total transactions, should tell us that the premium product is super important, and in order to extract even more revenues out of this premium product, you're going to use outlets, which are pretty cool. Other questions? So, clear? So now, the second part, the second exhibit that I want to show is about the price. So I was telling that there are upgrades, so there are discounts, but which is the discount that we actually get if you go to business class with an upgrade? So I decided to represent these two pictures. So again, this is pretty small, so I'm not sure if you guys can read it. However, these are time series. So on the horizontal axis, we can see the booking horizon starting at the end, so the extreme right. And then on the vertical axis, we have the final price paid to access the premium product, either premium economy in the first picture or business class in the second picture. And then we have two lines. We have the red line and the green line. The line represents the final price the travelers pay when they buy premium economy or business class retail. So you go to the airline website and you immediately buy a premium product. Then the green line represents the final price that you pay if you go to the premium product with the upgrade. So what are these features telling us? Well, the green line is always below the red line. So this means that the final price that you pay to access the premium product with an upgrade is always lower than the retail price. In particular, we can check that on average you save almost 20% if you go to the premium product with an upgrade rather than if you purchase retail. So 20% of savings is like the extra happiness that travelers get. They decide to go to the premium product with an upgrade.
One question.
Yes.
How do you factor in if you can't, in fact, you probably can't get an upgrade, even if you pay the last 2 days or sometime after you bought your economy ticket, that the upgrade just isn't available anymore?
Yeah, that's a possibility for sure. It's something that, so the real story is that in the data that I have, the story is not so simple, in the sense that airlines, of course, have some decision power there, so they can decide whether to give you an upgrade or not, regardless of the available capacity in business class. Right? In this case, in these pictures, I'm just showing averages. So I'm just showing the average price that you pay for business class with an upgrade or not. So I'm not taking that into account.
Last week, you have to buy it soon because you may or may not get a business class seat at any price.
Yes, correct. So in the next part, so this is a question about the demand side, so about how customers behave. And so this is a question about whether travelers are actually taking that into account. So am I really willing to this extra comfort or not? Am I willing to accept or not? So this is taken into account in the model in some way. But in these two pictures, I'm just showing averages, so I'm not taking into account any. Okay, thanks for the question.
John?
Yes, question.
So it's almost like you don't have the mindset, like for instance, I buy a premium economy seat. I'd love to get an upgrade, and I might be willing to pay for it 2, 3, 4 days out. But then, as Gordon over there said, they are just not having anything for it. They might not have any, they might be sold out in business class, so there's no way that there's even be an opportunity. So it's almost like you should have a mindset that you're going to be either an economy, you're going to get the premium economy, or you're premium economy and hoping to get up to business only if that opportunity presents itself. Because go into it thinking, well, I'm just going to wait for my premium economy to open up for my business class coming up. It's already been disappointed. It's almost like I won't go so far as it's a surprise, but it's a pleasant outcome. And all of a sudden you're being told that things don't know, I'm going to be possible at that point.
Yeah, totally. There is always.
Everybody know. How many seats are really available in this here? Are they available in the economy?
Yeah, so in my data, I can observe a lot of the evolution of the flight. In general, these flights are rarely sold out in both economy and business class.
Rarely sold out?
Yeah, rarely sold out. The final load factor is 80%.
all of your models here are assuming the cash purchase of upgrades with cash. How does it change your conclusions if you're upgrading with miles?
Okay, so that's a great question. So it's very difficult to analyze loyalty, miles purchases from a data. In the sense that for this airline, miles are basically a substitute for cash. And in the data, I only see cash transactions. So these two pictures are basically excluding payments with miles. And why I'm doing this? Because usually what I see from the data is that people pay, especially the first ticket with miles, so they pay a very low cash amount at the beginning, and then they upgrade with dollars. So this is what it is. So I see a very low initial price. But anyway, results are still robust to that, in the sense that you can see still savings if you use miles. Question.
So is that way to calculate with cash and upgrade with miles or vice versa?
That's a good question. I think I'm not good enough to answer that question. It's not part of my data, unfortunately. So I cannot really tell whether it's going to be to buy with cash or miles. Sorry about that. But if you have the data, so, yes.
So your entire focus is on the revenue side.
Yes.
Fortunately, the 1.2% profit margin is so low because the industry is highly unionized. Upwards of 80%. They have alcohol pilots, mechanics union, flight attendants union, with management having very little flexibility in how they control their costs. That's why a lot of airlines are losing money or very low profit margin because of the unionization problem.
Yes, so that's a good comment. So thank you. So again, in this presentation, I'm mainly focusing on the revenue side. So of course, profits are made of revenues and costs. I'm not considering the costs, just considering like the revenues. So what's profitability is due to high costs? My argument is that well, airlines can also increase profits by increasing costs. So this is like the bottom line, the use of airlines. But thanks for the call. This is not something I'm taking into account. Question? Yes.
I'm gonna just lost my thought. It seems like we're kind of responding to an inquiry on the part of the airline, whether we want an upgrade. Is there any way for us to reach out to the airline, or they reach out to us and say, oh, I'm here and I'm available, give me a price and I might take an upgrade? Is there a way to kind of beat them to the punch, so to speak? Because here you're waiting for that email to come in and say an upgrade's available. So wait maybe 2 days out, 5 days out, reach out to the airline and say,
so that's a great question. I think at the moment the airline I'm working with is not doing that, so there is no signaling mechanism on the consumer side. However, there is a way to signal, which I'm going to talk about it later on, that is with auctions. So some way that airlines have to have these upgrades is with auctions. So they reach out to you immediately after you purchase an economy ticket, asking you, well, you want to upgrade? If you want, you can bid in an auction. So I think this is kind of related to your thoughts on this, is that customers, travelers can signal their interest. Yeah. Question.
You seem to be directed at U.S. airlines. If you take a look at other countries, aren't most of the airlines nationalized in some of these other countries? So they don't have, they just set the prices and that sort of thing. I mean, how many airline countries have nationalized airlines?
That's a good question. Why you're asking this? Because you think that nationalized airlines have less flexibility in
I was wondering, take a look at the gross margin. Look at 1.5%. This is like having a grocery store. If you own a grocery store, the profit margins are so low that you don't have much room. But if you look at other airlines in Europe, I think many of them are nationalized. They Do they make any money out of these, or are they subsidized? And maybe it's not your arena, and I understand that.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with this, so I'm not so sure about how much it is.
Let's step in here. Well,
Such as representation.
I think we're all very interested, so I'm going to members,
Okay, all right, anyway, you guys are here end of July. So if you have questions, okay, so very well. So hopefully I kind of told you that upgrades are important and are relevant for airlines. So again, I want to see which is the effect for consumers, that is travelers in this case. So what I do in my paper is that I try to estimate the model of demand for airline tickets, and then I approximate with some models airline pricing decisions. And based on this, I'm able to compare two situations. One is the situation when the airline is offering upgrades, and one is the situation when the airline is not offering upgrades. And by comparing these two situations, I'm able to have the two most important conclusions for my paper, that is, are upgrades beneficial for airlines? And the answer is yes, because the revenues increased by 2%. So by simply having upgrade options, airlines are able to increase revenues by 2%. And recall that profit margins are extremely low. So upgrades are an important tool to boost potential profitability, despite costs. On the other hand, I'm also able to make a comparison between the group of customers and how they are affected by the upgrade option. In particular, I show that travelers as a group are happier, in the sense that people able to upgrade are far happier than how much disappointed are the people that pay higher prices for business class. So this is a good answer, at least for myself, because I usually never buy business class. At most I get an upgrade. So in my case, there is kind of a distribution of happiness between those super rich people buying business class immediately and those that actually enjoy. So I think this is a first interesting conclusion. And then we can skip this slide. Then I just wanted to go to the last slide because I think it's kind of related to the question I received earlier about options. So in my data, I can also see whether travelers are bidding in auctions or not. And some of you might have received emails asking whether you want to bid in auctions or not. Well, if you click on that email, and you supposed to be not a scam, but if you bid on that email, basically you see a slider and you need to place your bid on that slide. What I see from the data is that if you bid the lowest amount, you get the upgrade 50% of the time. So it's a pretty good outcome. However, the bad news is that the minimum price is never zero. So it's not that you go to business class at $0. You need to pay. And that price, the minimum price, is highly optimized. So probably you need to pay a decent amount to go there. So this is the last consumer fact that I wanted to give you. So this is basically the end of my presentation. And in this presentation, I tried to say that the airline industry is kind of important for all of us, that it's very difficult to be there. And one of the reasons is very difficult to make price decisions, and upgrades probably are very the most there. Thank you.
Anyway, on behalf of the club, Domenico, I'd like to present you with a small gift from us. Thank you very much. All right. Switching over. And next week, our speaker is Officer Steve Salas. I met him when we were doing the CHP toy drive around Christmas time. And he will be here to speak to us about the role of the highway patrol in California as well as here in Los Angeles and the perspectives about crime statistics here on the west side. Interestingly, in the Culver City station, that covers pretty much from the Holland all the way down to the South Bank. And there's a big quote. It's from General Eisenhower, Supreme Allied Commander. This is what he said to the soldiers, sailors, and airmen of the Allied Expeditionary Force. It's a pretty powerful statement. I'll let you all read it. You don't need me to read it. And I think it's pretty powerful. This is what went out just hours before the invasion began. Anyway, with that said, everyone, hope you have a wonderful weekend. See some of you, many of you this weekend at the Meals on Wheels walk. And with that, I think we're adjourned. Thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.